event down on, Bayfront Park. At the time, I woke up that day, helicopters just over my house, and at the time, we thought we had a tragedy where somebody might have been buried alive because a part of the cliff south of town collapsed. Fortunately, that didn't happen, but it woke us all up, to the, what we have down there, and it's what I call a death trap. It's just something waiting to happen. Most of us know that 14 years ago, further south on Calvert Cliffs, there was an event, a collapse where a mother, her son and daughter were walking along the beach, and there was a collapse, and the 12-year-old young lady lost her life. As I learned real quickly, it happens like that because the dirt and the cliff just comes right down in your nose and your throat, and you're buried alive, quite frankly. So it's a serious event. We're lucky that nothing happened here, and in terms of public safety, we want to make some precautions that it doesn't happen again. And Mr. Jeffries, who's with the county, is here to just explain a little bit of this, the serious nature of it to us. So, Al Jeffries.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to your council members and your citizens in Calvert County. My name's Al Jeffrey. I'm Deputy Director of Public Safety for Calvert County. Previously, I was the Emergency Management Director, so we've been dealing with the cliff erosion and the collapse for years here. You know better than I how far these cliffs have receded. Mr. Larson has moved here kicking and screaming. I moved here 20 years too late in 2001, so I wish I had moved here sooner. I don't live in the beach. I live in Huntingtown, Brooms Island now. But the mayor makes a good point, and he's right on. The cliffs are very, very dangerous, and you need to be aware of it. Sometimes you might need to take, which I recommended to the mayor when we talked down at the incident, that this beach probably underneath these cliffs need to be secluded and restricted area put up so people can't get in there easily. We all know you can put any barrier you want up to stop somebody from coming in, and they'll get around it, but it shouldn't stop, my recommendation shouldn't stop us from taking action to make sure that they're aware of the danger that they get in. These cliffs can collapse anytime, and like the mayor explained, the one young lady lost her life, but he used the term buried alive. I'm gonna change that phrase a little and say buried dead. When you get 20 tons of sand coming down on you from 70 feet, you can only imagine the force that's gonna come down and hit you. That is a near 100% fatal accident, and you can't tell when these cliffs are when they're gonna collapse. We're looking at them now. We're surveying all the cliffs to take a survey to see what condition they're in, so we have an understanding of where the high risk areas are. We're going to, matter of fact, you're going to be getting an invitation here shortly to a meeting with FEMA and MEMA about community projects, specifically in these areas, hazard mitigation projects that we want to look at undertaking to see if we can make those cliffs safer. But truly believe that the public needs to understand the danger they face when they get on these cliffs. And after that incident, I'm sure everybody in the room saw it. I don't know if all your citizens saw it. There were actually 2 people climbing on the cliff face after it had collapsed, when it's in the most vulnerable state of secondary collapse. So I would urge you to take every action you could to isolate that area from easy access. I know there's the funding's issue to do that, maybe the legal issues, but I think you would be better served doing that, taking the action and not taking any action, and then have a tragedy like the mayor described earlier happen here.
Thank you. I'll ask the council, starting with Councilman Fred. Do you have any questions of you?
No, obviously very important topic, and it affects the whole county, like you said, not just our area. So appreciate you coming here and talking to us and talking to our citizens.
Hi, thank you for coming down and speaking with us. I do have a question. I mean, this is a very serious issue. I know it's very dangerous. And when you say isolate that area, how you can walk out into the bay 200, 300, 400 yards, go around it, you look at the beach, there are logs, you know, 3 times as thick as me that get tossed up onto the beach when we get a surge. And so what kind of barrier are you proposing that would
Well,
help in this area?
so you're asking me a legal question that I don't know what you can put there legally, but my recommendation would be very clear signage, both in English and America's second language, rapidly becoming its second language in Spanish, so that it's in 2 languages. Any barriers you can place across the beach to highlight it in very bold colors. Red and white are usually the sign of danger. Yellow's caution, red's danger, from both sides. There's 3 ways to get to that cliff face: through Browning Beach, through the Randall's Cliff, and from the water. So are you going to be able to isolate all 3 of those entry points? Probably not, but I think it's worthwhile. It's a worthwhile effort to undertake to isolate it as best you can and make your citizens aware of the dangers that they're facing if they cross that isolation point.
Right. Okay, thank you. I know there's been conversation among some of the citizens out there about this very issue. That's why I'm just trying to get a better understanding of what possibilities there might be, because as I mentioned, I'm thinking physical barrier is going to get knocked down. Signage, yes, we got to have signs, and we've had signs, and education to our citizens and visitors to the park needs to be had. And I'm also just trying to think of what other ways can we do this. And one thing that kind of came to mind was, you know, some sort of camera system there with the sign that says, you know, this area is closed, you're being recorded. You know, that kind of thing, just to discourage more so, because people walk around those signs all the time because there's nobody there to really check. But anyway, I just bring that up for discussion and thought for everybody. Thank you.
The only way you can really enforce it is with a physical enforcement person there. A guard, a park ranger, somebody like that. But you're right. If you put something there and somebody wants to get in, they're gonna get in.
Yeah.
But I think it's still a worthwhile effort to undertake to make sure that everybody is aware of the danger they're placing themselves in if they go around these barriers. And the other part is, you know, your residents probably have a really, really good idea of the danger that they face when they get in the bottom of the base of these cliffs. Well, who really doesn't know, maybe not, are your visitors. The ones that come from DC to enjoy the shoreline, that come down to hunt shark's teeth occasionally. The everyday shark tooth or archaeological digger comes down a lot. They know the danger and they're aware of it. Still, we need to preclude them from there too. But the visitors are the ones that really don't understand the risk they're putting themselves in. So that's why you really need to do a really good job of isolating, marking it and isolating it as best you can.
Yeah. Thank you, Keith. And I'll make a comment. One of the things that I said to you when we were on site and you were recommending a barrier, fence, or whatever you want to call it, was, but the first thing I thought of was mom and her kids. You come down that path, and I remember being a kid, I remember my little Patrick, once he sees that water, somehow he pries loose from mom and he runs. And the way it's set up now, that if he takes a right, he runs, he takes a right, he's in the danger zone. And he'll even know it. Mom's screaming after him. And a sign. When he's 7, he's not looking at signs. He's just running. Whereas a barrier is going to stop him. He knows when he sees a fence or whatever you want to call it that he's not allowed to go past it. And signs are great, but signs give you the I don't read that language. Signs give you. I thought it just said no smoking like the other signs up at the parking lot said. You hear all kinds of reasons why people. I didn't have my glasses on. I didn't read the sign. But I do believe that everybody knows that if you've got to go over or under it or out in the water to pass a, what is now what we're gonna put up, which is a cable wired fence, you know you can't go somewhere when it's that, and I know we had that conversation, and it's amazing what, along with Chief Mills, and it's amazing what you think of when you realize that there's a life or death, danger zone, and what you have to do to really make sure people understand that they cannot go there.
So you bring up Chief Mills in that incident. I was in his command post that day. We responded from our office down to assist Chief Mills as his command post company and give him any administrative help that he needed. Just to emphasize how he ran his incident, first priority in his incident command was safety. He had over 4 safety officers assigned to that incident to do nothing but make sure the people he was tasking with searching for the missing person were safe. 4 people.
Right.
4 trained safety officers that have done it for years. Your little boy and his mom, if we take that level of precaution and safety when we respond to an incident at the base of those cliffs, think how at risk mom is with her son as you described.
Yeah, and just one last thing before I go to Larry. That obviously, as I said, is my neighborhood. I've been going down there the longest of, maybe anybody in the room except Bucky. When it's hot, when it's sunny, people, and they don't care, they gravitate right to go under that cliff because it's shady. And you can talk to them till you're blue in the face about I know you're trying to avoid sunburn, but and so it really it's more than just somebody they're trying to get shade. So it's very important that people know it, and they don't stop for the signs that we have up now. I can tell you. But anyhow, Larry.
Well, thanks for your comments, and I just wanted to reinforce your concerns that with the continued impact of climate change, these incidents are going to become more frequent.
And they are. I mean, the cliffs are eroding daily.
Yes.
We have several houses that we're watching now, several properties we're watching now to see how far the cliff face erodes over. And we're coming up into the season
Right.
where we're going to get some some challenging storms through here, as we always do during this
Yeah.
upcoming time of year in the spring and the summer.
And with
So we'll be
increasing
watching those.
levels in the bay, water levels, that's going to have an impact on it as well. So it's a very timely concern. Thank you.
It is.
Yes, I also want to say thank you for coming and sharing your expertise with us. You mentioned in your talk, we've had this problem before. We had slope collapse on B Street. We're well aware of these problems. And you mentioned that there was going to be a survey of high-risk areas. Do you know when that'll be done?
Well, I might have misquoted survey. We're going to make ourselves aware of it. We're not actually going out with survey crews, but we're going to go out and we do an annual shoreline survey to see how far the cliffs has receded. And then if any homeowner calls us, we go out and do a specific survey on their home, on their cliff face. A lot of them down in Chesapeake Ranch Estates where the cliffs are down there. We do a lot of those. We have some hazard mitigation projects going on, some acquisition products because the cliff has collapsed so far back that the house eventually is going to fall into the bay. So that's a hazard mitigation project that we're working on with FEMA and MEMA to acquire the house, tear it down, return the land back to the way God intended it originally. So those are what we're doing. So as a survey, that's probably, I misquoted that, we're going to make ourselves aware of the cliffs, cliff face, and where the most unstable portions are so we can concentrate our efforts there.
That sounds reasonable. And you also mentioned a meeting?
Yes.
Meeting, like
So,
when and where and who and...
so we're still setting it up. We have the hazard mitigation officer from Maryland Emergency Management Agency, which is MEMA. I'm sorry for not explaining what that was. Maryland Emergency Management Agency. They're the direct contact with FEMA. And FEMA has a hazard mitigation funding. $450 million this year It's competitive bid, competitive grants to undertake community projects for projects like this, to make houses safe, stormwater management, flooding, nuisance flooding, things like that. We have a meeting set up with your hazard mitigation officer next month. I have the email already in my drafts to hit send. I'm just trying to find a space big enough to host 40 to 60 people in a meeting room with all the AV equipment that we need to have the hazard mitigation officer make this presentation. But the mayor and Holly are absolutely on my email list already for both townships. It's the county, the townships, all the department, and obviously when I send the email out, the open invitation is to invite the staff that you think need to be at this meeting. So I know we've had previous meetings, but these aren't small projects. These are projects we're looking in the $5, $7, $10 million range. It would be a project like raising a road for 2 miles out of the flood zone. But when you do that, the engineering study has to be done. Is your town engineer here?
No.
Your engineering study has to be done because you're just gonna divert the water that's going over a road. Where's that water gonna go and how can you, so that's gotta be in it. And it's still, if these aren't 100% grants, they're 75-25, so we have a 25% contribution that we have to put towards it to remediate any hazard project that we undertake. But that email hopefully be coming out tomorrow to everybody, to get it on their calendar.
Sounds good, Al.
And then I guess from, we're fortunately or unfortunately in a budget cycle coming up, and so I'm just wondering, like, if there's anything that we should set aside for signage or fencing or what have you, and if so, I'd like to encourage that to happen.
I'm not gonna get in your budget,
Yeah.
No, of
but
course
I think
not.
that's up to y'all. But these projects that I'm talking about, the development and application process and the review and awarding is a 2 to 3 year process. These aren't immediate, and they're competitive. Everybody in the country is competing for these dollars. So we have to develop the projects, we have to fill out the application, we have to submit it for review to MEMA. If they find it worthy enough, as they rate it with all the other projects in the state, to forward it to FEMA, and then it has to go through the FEMA review and approval. So they're 2 or 3 year projects from the day you start to the day FEMA will award the grant. Then it's a 3 to 5 year window you have to complete the grant, to complete the work. So it's a very long process, but it's a very worthwhile process.
Thanks, Al.
Okay, can I take 1 second?
You got it.
I want to lend my voice to Chief Mills's statement about smoke detectors. I'm retired from the DC Fire Department. My background's in the fire service for about 40 years. Smoke detectors save lives. Sprinkler systems save lives. I urge all your citizens to check their smoke detectors monthly. Change the batteries with the change of the clock, and make sure your smoke detectors are installed properly and up to date. I just want to lend my voice to his. He brings up very good points.
Gotcha, Al. Thanks
Thank you
coming
for
out.
the opportunity. It's great seeing everybody again, and Holly knows how to get a hold of me. If you have any questions, don't hesitate.
Thank you, Al.
Have a good evening.
Have a great night.
Thank you.